Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Lodgify webinar. My name is Neil Graham, and I'm a content marketing specialist here at Lodgify, and I'm delighted to be hosting this webinar on finding the unique selling point of your vacation rental, because I'm joined by a very special guest, the host of the Vacation Rental Success podcast and the co-founder of the Vacation Rental Formula Business School, Heather Bayer. Heather, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you so much, Neil. This is so exciting.
Yeah, we're all really excited about the topic and everything you've got in store for us today. We're sure it's going to be super valuable.
Really looking forward to it.
Well, before I pass the mic over to you, Heather, I'm going to start with a short presentation on some of the technical elements of the webinar, followed by how Lodgify can help your vacation rental business. And then we'll take a quick look at our latest industry report for summer 2023. So I'm going to share my screen just now. Okay, so please keep in mind that we can't see you or hear you, but we do encourage you to submit questions throughout the webinar, as we'll have a Q&A session at the end. Please make your questions relevant to the webinar topic, and please keep them as general as possible so they can help as many attendees as possible. You can use the Ask a Question section for this. We also have a chat section where you can leave comments, but please use the Q&A section for any questions for Heather. If you have any support-related questions, please feel free to email them to help@lodgify.com. We are going to be recording this webinar, which will be sent to you afterwards, and we'll include it in our webinar recap blog, which will be published before the end of the week. Okay, so now a little bit about Lodgify. For those who don't know, Lodgify is an all-in-one vacation rental software that empowers owners and property managers to easily create their own bookable website and accept direct bookings. Additionally, hosts and PMs can manage all their reservations and guest communications from one centralized platform and sync their listings and calendars from external channels like Airbnb, Vrbo, and Booking.com. Our three main features are the channel manager and the ability to sync calendars, the PMS system, and the website builder and booking widget. Just to clarify, we do offer the option of creating your own website with Lodgify, but if you already have one, you can embed our booking widget so you can still enjoy the benefits of using our reservation system, channel manager, and PMS. And we released our mobile app at the end of last year, where you can manage your reservations, calendar, transactions, and communications, all from the palm of your hand. And I wanted to tell you a little bit about our integration with Google Vacation Rentals. Basically, you can now integrate your listings with Google's meta search engine, especially for vacation rentals, and you'll be able to outrank even the top OTAs such as Airbnb, Vrbo, and Booking.com. But the best part is, if someone clicks on your Google listing, they'll be automatically redirected to your website, and if they make a booking, you'll avoid any third-party fees and commissions. And if we don't have any of the features that you are looking for, we still integrate with over 20 third-party apps from a wide range of categories such as insurance, guest experience, guest verification, dynamic pricing, cleaning and turnover, and smart features. However, if we are missing an integration that you need and you are already a Lodgify customer, you can check out our roadmap to make suggestions and to vote on which integrations you want to see next. And finally, last week, we released our industry report for summer 2023, which is now available for download and focuses on the summer as a whole, the 4th of July and Labor Day weekend. We analyzed over 740,000 Lodgify bookings in the US, including both direct and via OTAs. All bookings were created between January 2021 and June 2023 for arrivals up to September 4th, 2023, which is, of course, Labor Day. And so here are a few of the main insights from the report. As we're seeing throughout the industry, occupancy rates have dropped, in our case by 8% from last year. Also, we've seen that although stays are getting shorter, 56% of all 2023 reservations of 8 days or more are coming from direct booking channels. So good news if you already have a direct booking website. As for ADR, it has dropped by 3% when looking at bookings for June, July, and August. And of course, you can now download the report for more insights, trends, and how to make the most of them. We'll post a link for that in the chat very shortly. All right, and that's all from me. Thank you very much. I'll stop sharing my screen now. And Heather, the floor is all yours.
Thank you so much. I'm really looking forward to getting this underway. It's so much fun to talk about this topic. So hello, everybody. Great to see people from so many different places around the world come along and join us here today. It's great to have you here. I just want to give a huge thanks to Lodgify for inviting me to come and share my passion with you, because niche marketing is a passion for me. We're going to talk about journey in focus marketing, because that's what niche marketing is about. So I thought I would kick off by giving you a little bit of a backstory. I see there's a few people here from Ontario. You know about this market. It is a macro niche. It's waterfront. Every property, just about every property. And certainly when I started in the business back in 1999, that's all people rented, just waterfront properties. And everybody had their own private waterfront. And it is very much like that today. So I've been in this short-term rental business for over 25 years now. But when I started in 2003, it was a really tough closed market. There were 4 or 5 property management companies. There were lots of independent owners, and everybody was doing exactly the same. And it was tough to get into. You know, I tried to be better. I tried to be better than everybody else, better furniture and better amenities and better features, but it really was a struggle. So what I tried to do was to be different instead. So I looked at everything that people were offering and tried to find something where I could sneak in and do something that other people weren't doing. And at that time, back in 2003, the mantra at the end of a stay was leave as found. And guests were asked to leave the property in the same condition as it was when they arrived. So they had to clean. They had lots of cleaning equipment, and they had to leave the place in the same spotless condition that they arrived to. I remember meeting an owner way, way back, probably in the late 1990s. And I asked him about this, and he said, I just go in at the beginning of the season, I make it really, really nice, and then I leave it to them, and then I come back at the end. And I was thinking, oh my gosh, I'm glad I'm not the person that's coming in the last week of August, because you've got to rely on everybody else leaving it nice and clean. So I did not want to do that. I did not want to have my guests in my company doing this. So we became different. We were the first company to offer a cleaning service. And every new owner that came to us, we said, you know, you have to offer cleaning. You can do it yourself, or you can get an outside cleaner, but we want you to do away with asking guests to clean on their last stay. It worked really, really well for us for about 14 years, because we were the only one that did it. And then, of course, Airbnb came on the scene, and all the other agencies decided that they had to change. They had to offer this cleaning service. And now, of course, everybody does. It's very rare that you find a leave as found notice on a website or on a listing. So we were stuck with the same problem back into 2015, 2016. We had to be different again. So we went back and looked at what everybody was doing. Was there anything that was right across the board that we could change? And yes, there was. Everybody was charging a pet fee. They were all charging fees for anybody to bring their pets, and there were these really harsh rules and guidelines for pet owners to follow. So we decided to buck the trend, and we pivoted to no pet fee. And that is still the same today. I sold the company last year, and they are still following the same rule, no pet fee. And we did have it front and center of the website, and it served us extremely well. There's a lovely expression, a lovely quote from a lady called Sally Hogshead from howtofascinate.com. And she says, it's better to be different than it is to be better. I love that, because that is what this is all about. And I think in this competitive market, you have to be different. You have to be different. Anybody can be better, but being different in a competitive market is going to really do you a lot of good. So what you're going to learn today is going to learn how to discover those hidden gems in your market. You're going to learn to become a niche explorer and unleash your creativity. And along the way, learn how to supercharge your listings so that your target market will gravitate towards you. I did a shortened version of this presentation in Barcelona back in April, I think. And I asked all the audience to raise their hands if they were pet friendly. So I don't know if you're going to raise your hand, but yes, go on then, raise your hand. Are you pet friendly and you accept one well-behaved pet? Now, if you accept pets, then I'm pretty sure that everybody's got their hands up. Now, for those of you who don't accept pets, stay with us, because this is a concept. We're talking about a concept that will address itself to any other niche. So stay with me. So if you've got your hand up if you accept one well-behaved pet, keep your hand up if you charge a separate cleaning fee. Probably still most of you have got your hands up. Keep your hands up if you have conditions like no climbing on the beds or the furniture. They mustn't be left alone in the property. Maybe you've got pet. You've got some conditions that says you'll only accept pets under 35 pounds or hypoallergenic pets. Okay, I'm thinking that probably those of you who are pet friendly still have your hands raised, which is brilliant. Now, however, put your hands down and let's start again. Are you pet friendly and welcome multiple pets? How many of you got your hands up now and have minimal conditions? Now let's go for the second one. You're pet friendly, you welcome multiple pets, you don't charge a pet fee, and you make no mention of additional cleaning fees on your website. And then finally, keep your hands up if you also provide pet friendly content with lists of dog parks and beaches where you can take pets and restaurants where you can take pets, and your website has loads of dog photos and there's discounts and offers for pet owners. I can't see you. I wish I could, because I would love to see who still has their hands up. If Sue Allen of East Ruston Cottages was in the audience, she would have both her hands up, because Sue runs a very pet-friendly property management company. Sue has about 40 properties in Norfolk. It's a county in England. And she markets to the pet owning community. Now, Sue started this business because she had 3 dogs and she wanted to go on vacation with a friend of hers who also had 3 dogs, and finding anywhere that took 6 pets was almost impossible. So now if you go to Sue's website at East Ruston Cottages, you'll see that she offers dog-friendly self-catering cottages. And she says right up front on the website where you and all your dogs are warmly welcomed, all breeds, no dog rules, and they come for free. She also says, with this question, do you want a dog-friendly getaway with unlimited dogs? Because that's the question that Sue was asking when she wanted to go on vacation with her friend and 6 dogs. So people are going to say, yes, that's exactly what I want. You have what I want. Sue has 40 dog-friendly cottages. Most of them allow up to 4 dogs, and 9 of them allow unlimited dogs. Unlimited? She has had a guest group with 16 dogs, and there is no charge for the dogs, whether there are 1 or 16. Now that is a pet-friendly niche. I also want to introduce somebody else, a friend of mine called Diane Denton from Seahorse Diamond Beach in Australia. And Diane, her niche is horse-friendly beach holidays. Now she does accept lots of pets. She's happy to have several dogs at her property. But she's meeting the need of the horse owners who have at the top of their bucket list, I want to ride my horse in the ocean. And apparently, if you have horses, then this is a top bucket list thing for many of them. And she welcomes people with their horses. She has stable. She, as she says on her site, We live, breathe, and love horses too. She's talking directly to an audience that is just like her. Let's just look at some top pet travel trends. I mean, every niche has trends. This is the pet one. I love some of these, and I wanted to share them with you. You know, in European households, there's more pets than children. Pet owners, 63% of pet owners consider their pets as beloved family members. They don't want to leave them alone. And 64% of millennial dog owners won't. They won't travel without their pets. 50% of travelers take holidays with their pets. And, you know, this is the same on the road, whether it's in the US or whether it's in Europe. They want to take their pets with them. Now, the hotels have been doing this for a long time. They have 75% of American hotels now, right across the board, are welcoming pets. Now, the interesting thing is that, yes, they charge a pet fee. And I don't think they'll ever drop charging the pet fee because they can't raise their rates. They can't raise their rates to cover that pet fee because there's a lot of people who come to hotels that don't have pets. So they will charge a pet fee. But in the early days, most hotels, and still quite a lot of them, have rules on weight. They've got weight limits and breed limits, and they only allow one dog. But now some of the hotels are now pivoting, just like we did, from cleaning to being pet fee free. They're pivoting to allowing more than one dog. They're pivoting to allow bigger dogs. So they're being different. They're being different to capture the market. So let's move on. Let's talk about macro niches. We've been talking about the big macro niche, which is pet friendly. And I'm sure every one of you that's watching this, listening in, is in a niche of some sort, a macro niche. So it could be a location. You could have a beach location, or an urban location, or a country location. You could be in the accessibility niche. You've got ramps maybe up to your door. You've got wider door frames. You've got places where a wheelchair can fit into a bathroom, that sort of thing. So you're in the accessibility niche. Many of you will be in adventure and activity niche. It's massive. So hiking and biking and just exploring, getting out and exploring the countryside. And just think about your listings. You're probably talking about hiking trails and places to go and bike, or for us on the water, it was always kayaking and canoeing. The newest macro niche is sustainability. And this is an interesting one because Booking.com, in their sustainability survey, they do an annual one. This year, in the survey uncovered that 76% of responders want to travel sustainably. They're looking for sustainable features in the properties they're staying in. So this is a major niche that is really, really growing. And we're going to come back to that one a little bit later. Just going back on the accessibility niche, do you know there's 3.3 million wheelchair users in the US? That's 11.6% of the population. That is just massive. And this is, it's worthwhile taking a look at, what macro niche you're currently in. And if you're taking notes, then just, write it down. Write down your major niche and then maybe the smaller niches after that. So when you're marketing, you're probably marketing to your macro niche, and you're probably using what we call the SAW strategy. And that is, you're throwing spaghetti against the wall and hoping that something's going to stick. Now, be honest with yourself. Is that the way you're doing it? You've got some great features of your property that's perhaps within a niche, and think about, are you marketing directly to the people that are in that niche, or are you just marketing and hoping that people will come? It's also known in marketing as the spray and pray approach. So have a think about whether you are using that, because I want to talk about the benefits of micro niches. And I'll go back to Sue Allen and East Ruston Cottages here, because her benefits, there's less competition. In her market, she's got barely any competition at all. So she's not facing those competitors, which means a lot. You don't have to do as much marketing when you don't have the competitors. Of course, there's better customer relationships because it's so much easier to build a relationship in a specific market as you focus on their needs and expectations. And with Sue, her customers are coming back over and over and over again because they know what to expect. So they're yielding higher profits because there are more specialized services. They're offering more specialized services, which is yielding the higher prices and increasing property and profit margins. And by doing all this, they're engaging in very cost-effective marketing because they're targeting a smaller audience and therefore spending much less on advertising and marketing. So there's a lot of benefits in using a micro niche. I want to talk now about another macro niche, which is accessible accommodation. This is beautiful, isn't it? Absolutely gorgeous property. Sadly, you will never be able to go and stay in there, as I did about 6 years ago, because the owners have now sold it. Called Villa Carpe Diem. It's in Cyprus, and it's the most amazing accessible accommodation I've ever been to. We didn't have the requirements for accessible accommodation. We simply stayed there because we loved the look of it and the pool. But I got to talking to the owner, Andy Reynolds, and he explained to me that when he built the house, he was sharing his plans for the house with his friend, David Croft, who was a quadriplegic. And David said, hey, while you're building this, why don't you build an accessible space so that I could come and stay? And I mean, David had a spinal injury. He had been very active before the spinal injury, and he was having difficulty in finding anywhere to come and stay. So he and Andy worked together to find out and for Andy to discover what was required for to make a truly accessible property. So Andy went all out. He installed all the best equipment, all the best features, all the best amenities that would enable somebody who was severely disabled to come and stay. Now, of course, there was one big issue that David pointed out, and he said, well, it was okay to create this great property, but how do I get there from the airport? It's bad enough getting in an aeroplane, but now I've got to find a way to get to the house from the airport, which was about a 40-minute drive. So Andy bought a vehicle. He bought an accessible vehicle so that he was able to go and pick his guests up from the airport and deliver them back to the property, and then offered the vehicle for rental during the stay if the guests wanted it. And then, of course, he had a hoist for the swimming pool and enabled his guests to enjoy the pool as well. Another thing he did was to partner with a company called Freedom Divers in Cyprus. And Freedom Divers offered courses for disabled divers. And Freedom Divers would come to the property and they would do the initial training in the pool. And then the guests could use the disabled vehicle to take themselves to the Freedom Divers location where they could enjoy scuba diving. Just amazing. Sadly, as I said, it has closed, or he sold it, and so it's no longer available. But for David, it was a great place, a wonderful place for him to go and spend a vacation, and for many other extremely disabled people. Now, Andy went to the ends of the earth to do this, to create this space. If you're interested in this accessibility space and you're near a beach, walkable distance from a beach, then at much less, at a much lower price, you could buy a disabled wheelchair, a beach wheelchair. The good ones are going to be up around $4,000 or $5,000. but that could be, you could get a return on that very, very quickly with the amount of people that could that you would allow to come and stay at your property that wouldn't have been able to before. Okay, let's go to another one: adventure and activity tourism. I bet many of you offer hiking and biking experiences and maybe scuba diving. But I want to pick on one specific one that has just ballooned over the past couple of years, and certainly over the past couple of months, because when I did this a shorter version of this presentation back in April in Barcelona, I couldn't find much in the way of statistics. But now, just a few months on, everybody's out there doing this. Now, pickleball is big in the US, not so big in Europe. I think you have, and I can't remember what it's called, but it's a sort of similar version of pickleball. But in the US, it's the fastest growing sport. There's 36.5 million players as at 2022, probably many, many more now. But what really got me is that I always thought it was an older person's game. You know, I'm a pickleball enthusiast. I love playing pickleball, and it always seemed to be the sort of seniors game. But in fact, players 18 to 35 are now the biggest age bracket in pickleball, and the average age of pickleball players is 34. So this is a sport that is just blowing up around the US, and is definitely one to perhaps get into. People who play pickleball go to pickleball channels. So what I mean by that is they go to pickleball websites, they go to Pickleball University and the Pickleball Central, and they read articles about pickleball. And this is what they're finding. These are articles that have come out relatively recently in the past year or so, all promoting pickleball getaways, finding vacation homes with pickleball courts. Now, you don't have to have a pickleball court at your property. You simply need to be within walking distance of one. Now, it's growing so much in the US that it's hard not to be within walking distance of a pickleball court now. And some owners and managers have come along and found this market, and they are jumping into it and making it the main feature of their marketing. A company called Pauhana Vacations in Hawaii, or in Maui. This is the front of their website, Maui Pickleball Paradise. And they focus on, they're in a condo, so they're focusing on having pickleball courts within walking distance, and they provide pickleball paddles. That's what they call them, not rackets or bats. They're pickleball paddles and pickleball balls. And that's all you need to go and play this game, which is probably why it is super popular. And another one, when I first did the research, I could only find this one, and now there's many more. Here's another one that markets and promotes right on their front page: Temecula Wine Country Ultimate Pickleball Vacation. If you're looking for a perfect pickleball getaway, you've found it. People are searching for pickleball getaways and pickleball, say it too often, I won't be able to say it again, pickleball getaways and vacation rentals. So this is a beautiful property. What a gorgeous place. But they've got a pickleball court, and owners are now installing pickleball courts instead of swimming pools, because the pickleball craze is cutting across generations. You know, grandparents can play with 7 and 8-year-olds. It's so easy. So they go on vacation and everybody can be occupied. Let's look at another big market that maybe you hadn't thought of. The ornithology tourism market is $57.9 billion. Can you imagine that? I don't know how many of you are out there who are bird watchers, but 18% of all Americans are. And a lot of those are going to be the backyard bird watchers, the people who put up bird feeders and look out of their windows. I do that. We've got a bird feeder. We've got a hummingbird feeder, and I'm looking out of my window, and there's there is the birds, the hummingbirds. But the pandemic prompted a lot of new people to come into the whole bird watching arena. And a lot of them were millennials, because these were the millennial couples who were staying at home, who wanted to get out and do something where they wouldn't be around other people. So they took up bird watching, and it enabled, and that's part of why country properties became so popular during the period of the pandemic. They became photographers, and they just added to the 30 million wildlife photographers. This is an amazing market. And if you have birds around and about your location, maybe you have endangered species, maybe you have migration spots, maybe you just have areas where a lot of different types of birds can be seen. Maybe you've never even thought about it and you have no idea. But this is all about the research that we're going to be talking about in a second. So in any market, in any large market, and bird watching, in fact, is a big, big market. We could almost call it a macro market. You have to know the people who are doing it. So in the bird watching market, you've got the three big types of market. There are the casual birders. It's the largest specialized niche, really covers all generations. And birding's not their primary goal of travel, because they're interested in other wildlife watching and cultural activities. So to attract these, you'll probably be going to do the spray and pray approach. Then there's the hardcore birders. And this is the stereotypes, the stereotypical male baby boomer often travels alone. They spend way, way more money on their equipment than they do on their accommodation. They really aren't the type of birder to be targeting. The ones that you'd want to target are the enthusiastic birders, the ones that are taking it to the next level. And what really helps with this is that they're also interested in conservation and sustainability. So you can hit them on a couple of fronts if you have a specific niche and you're targeting these enthusiastic birders. The average age at the moment is 55, but there's a really growing younger market coming out of the pandemic. So there we are. We've got a few macro niches with some micro niches within there, and some of them, like Andy Reynolds and his very accessible accommodation, there's a lot of money that had to be spent to creating that type of accommodation and location. With Sue and East Ruston Cottages, you've got to be really focused on that niche yourself if you are going to do what she has done, because basically she's not interested in anybody other than people with multiple dogs. But you can actually get into these micro niches in a much smaller way. So here's 4 small ways to be different. The first one is supply the things that make it easy for guests. And if you're in a beach location, then you could supply beach chairs or coolers and carts. If you go to some of the reviews, and I've done this, I've sort of gone to places like Destin and Panama City Beach and looked at condo reviews. It's amazing how many note where coolers and carts have been included to help them take their stuff to the beach. It's just a little way to be different from the herd. So if all you have to do is supply beach chairs, coolers and carts to be different, that's not a great expense. For the birding market, you supply binoculars, supply bird books and local information on where to spot the best bird spotting locations. We'll talk about content in a bit, but this is, put content on your website about the different types of birds that they can see and give them information that perhaps they don't know because you are local to it. Then you want to partner with rental outlets, offer discounts and specials because that can give you an advantage. Just like Andy partnered with Freedom Divers, when in Ontario, most of the rentals are on lakes. Everybody wants a rental on a lake, and I'd actually bought 4 river properties. And to boost our difference and to encourage people to come to us, we promoted kayaking, and we partnered with local kayak rental outlets. So if people didn't have a kayak, it was a very safe way for them to come and stay and try out kayaking, and it worked really, really well. And then you want to think about walking the talk in sustainability. You know, anything you do, any micro niche you go into, you need to go into it with some form of passion. You've got to believe in it, because that's the only way of really meeting your guests where they're at. So if you're going to go into the sustainability niche, then you want to talk about your green initiatives. Bob Garner of Casal dei Fichi, which is in Italy, he's a very passionate environmentalist, and on his website there are several pages about the environment. They talk about, you know, how they walk the talk, that they have solar panels that heat the water for the house, keep the swimming pool warm. They have free charging points for those guests with electric cars. They do all, you know, they advise on recycling. They also give back. They have a tree planting promotion. There's just so many things that Bob does to walk his talk in sustainability. And if you're interested in sustainability and in this particular area, then go to Bob's website at envirorental.earth, because this has so many resources to help you make your vacation rental more sustainable, particularly if you don't know where to start. It gives you all these resources, and you'd be well on your way to finding a niche in the sustainability market. And if you go back to that booking.com survey, 76% of travelers are now looking for sustainable options. Okay, that's you can tell I get excited about this stuff. Probably talking really, really fast, but I do get passionate about it. So you're probably wondering about this now. How do I do this? Well, you've got to choose your niche to start with. And you've got to choose something that you're passionate about. Go for the macro niche, and then drill down from the macro niche to find the smaller niches within it. Do the research. And it's not difficult. It's definitely not difficult these days to do your research. Find out, you know, is the market big enough? Sue did the research to find out if her market was big enough to support a company with 40 properties. If she had 40 properties that accepted 4+ dogs, was her market big enough to cope with that? And yes, it is. You cannot get a spot at any of the properties at East Ruston Cottages unless you book way out. Then you've got to identify your target market. Who are the people that are going to come and stay at your place? So you have to do some really intense work to identify your avatar or persona. And then you're going to create content on your website that's going to resonate with them. You're going to write the material on the birds. You're going to write the material on how to, you know, get to the beach in a beach wheelchair, and how much freedom that people are going to feel when they come and stay at your place that has a beach wheelchair. And then you're going to go where your target market goes. You're going to figure out where they hang out. Do they hang out on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok? They hang out in all sorts of different places. And this is how you're going to reach that audience. So to start with, you know, you've got to know your avatar. You will hear this expression. If you haven't heard this expression before, the avatar, this is the dedicated person that you're going to be talking to in all your marketing outreach. So we had some very dedicated people for our properties. I had a little cottage on a river, and my avatar was a couple with a couple of kids aged 7 and 9, and they had a 9-year-old boy always wanted to fish, and the little girl loved going on walks with the dog. And parents simply wanted a wonderful place to relax, to get away from it all, to spend time with their kids, and also to enjoy some romantic space when the kids were in bed, when the kids had gone to bed at night. So, we created this wonderful space. We had fishing, all sorts of fishing equipment for the little boy. We had all sorts of geocaching information, because there were lots of geocaches in the area, for them to take walks with both the kids and the dogs and find these geocaches. And we put a hot tub in and just made a really nice space for the parents as well. So we had this very clear avatar. We knew who we were addressing in every one of our marketing materials. So where do you reach this audience? You reach them in Facebook groups. Every activity, every interest, every passion has a Facebook group. You just have to go out there and do the research and find them. You'll find people who are looking for your sort of accommodation. And of course, the thing about Facebook groups is you don't jump on there and say, hey, I've got a property that meets your needs. You actually get on. This is why you have to be passionate about your topic, because you have to get on there and talk about it and share your passion with them. So you share your passion for the topic before you come along and say, oh, this is a great place. If you're interested, there's this great place to stay, but you've got to engage first. So that social media outreach extends to every platform where your guests hang out. So if you know your avatar well, you know where they hang out. If they hang out on YouTube, if they hang out on TikTok, you're going to make some short videos to post on those platforms that show you doing those things. Let's say you've got the beach wheelchair. You're going to have a TikTok video that shows a family with somebody in a wheelchair going down to the beach. If you're focusing on, let's say, the little boy who likes fishing, you're going to have a little video of a boy standing on the end of the dock fishing and hopefully catching a fish. Another way of reaching your audience, and this comes after you start really doing this, because you're going to have the word of mouth and referral marketing that comes from the guests who stayed at your properties. They absolutely love your place. They want to share it with everybody. And you may want to think about how to offer them something, maybe a discount on their 4th or 5th visit. I know of one company that offers hoodies. So it's a decent branded piece of or gift that makes them feel that it's actually worth something. Having a nice hoodie rather than I've seen some of these cheap T-shirts. Don't do that. Go for something that's really of value as a referral marketing gift. Events and partnerships is always a great thing. Diane Denton from Seahorse Diamond Beach goes to horse shows near Sydney because that's where her market is. It's a Sydney market, or around the environs of Sydney. People have horses and they go to these horse events around there. And Diane sets up a small booth where she is just marketing her properties, and she does extremely well because just about everybody who's going to these events has this ride your horse along a beach at the top of their bucket list. So she does extremely well out of that. So think about events, think about partnerships with suppliers. Andy's partnership with Freedom Divers meant that Freedom Divers were advertising his property to the people that went to them looking for scuba diving for their disabled family member. And then finally, going to reach them through content marketing. Lots of content marketing. Get your content out there. It's so easy to create content now. And we use ChatGPT all the time. So use ChatGPT to create the outlines of your content that is going to reach your particular audience. And you can tell ChatGPT exactly who your avatar is. You know, this is the person that I want to reach with this piece of content. Please write me a blog post that is going to really fire them up and make them enthusiastic. That is something that is going to do really, really well. You know, make sure if you're using ChatGPT, of course, that you just use it as an outline. Don't just copy paste. Make sure it's in your voice, it's your tone, and you insert anything in there that creates just a good connection with your guests. But the ChatGPT can certainly do the heavy lifting for you. Well, we're just about at the end now, and I just want to hope that you've got some really, really good ideas from this. And, you know, if you fail, if you really think you haven't got an idea of a niche to get into, how about this one? This is a new company, wander.com. Now, here is a niche. Every person who stays gets a Tesla. Your stay comes with a Tesla. Move around in style using the Tesla included with every stay. I'll just leave that one with you. So I hope you've enjoyed this, and to help you along, if you're interested in finding out a little bit more about niche marketing, then we have a download for you. It's 30 unique markets to target and dominate in the short-term rental industry. So I've taken all of those markets, the accessibility, pet-friendly, sustainability. I knew I shouldn't have done this on my hands because I can't remember the other two, adventure and activity. Anyway, all of those macro markets I mentioned, there are 5, so we've got 6 macro markets and 5 unique markets in each one. So if you're interested in that, you can go to vacationrentalformula.com/finding-your-niche and download that. We are creating a longer course on this. I've got so much more to share about this. So within the Vacation Rental Formula Business School, we have a number of courses that we're offering right now, and that is growing. We are going to be building a much bigger course library because between us, myself and my business partners, we have so many years, probably a joint 40 or 50 years of experience in this industry, and we want to share that with you. So vacationrentalformula.com, we have just launched our new website. It's a little bit of a work in progress still, but please go there, take a look, and connect with me if you'd love to at heather@vacationrentalformula.com. I'd love to hear from you, and I'd like to thank you so much for being with me today and listening to all of this. I do hope you have enjoyed it.
Thank you, Heather, for an amazing presentation. We'll be sure to include those links in the blog as well that we'll publish before the end of the week. Do you have time to take a few questions?
I do, yes, if you've got any questions.
Yeah, sure, I'm just having a look through them now. There's actually quite a lot now that I think you probably covered, but we'll go through and see what we have. So there's one here that's quite interesting. One of them is, I understand micro niche or niche, depending on how you pronounce that word, but I'm not looking for high turnover, but instead low turnover and high yield. What luxury micro niches exists? Are you familiar with any?
Can you just give me that question again?
Yeah, sorry. So.
Oh, I can see. I understand micro niche. I'm not looking for high turnover, but instead low turnover and high yield. What luxury micro niches exist? give a Tesla. There's
Just
a
one good
Tesla
example.
in every. Yeah, I guess that that's what that company is doing. It's a luxury micro niche. I don't know of any other company that will put a Tesla in the garage for every set of guests.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, that's an incredible amenity to offer, isn't it? Okay, we have another one here. I think there's a lot of questions in the chat here about if people don't know for sure what their niche is. I'm sure you covered it over the presentation, but if someone is not sure what their niche is there any advice that you could give to a host in order to find what theirs is and then how they can market that themselves?
Yeah, I think you've got to dig deep and find, what is it that you're passionate about? If you're passionate about gardening and your property has a garden, why, and a great niche there would be to, have a vegetable garden and herbs and encourage, guests to come and do your gardening for you, but enjoy their passion as well. So I do believe that you have to be passionate about it. I don't think you should go into this deep pet friendly niche if you don't like animals. You shouldn't be accepting pets at all if you don't like animals. But there is another niche out there which is within perhaps the accessibility niche, and that is providing something that is truly pet free. Never had a pet in it. It's allergen. Allergen friendly. Anybody with allergies can come and stay at this place. So you're addressing sort of the opposite market. There's a second part to this. How do we know what keywords and things guests are looking for in order to market it? Yeah, that gets in a little bit more, in depth as we get into, search engine optimization and keywords. And, to start with, is think about the avatar, think about the person that is out there that you want to target, and then think about what questions they would be asking. And this is where ChatGPT really comes into its own, because you can feed your avatar into ChatGPT and say, hey, and ask it to be that person. So you ask ChatGPT to be this person, and then you say, okay, so you are this person. What are you looking for in a vacation? And ChatGPT is going to come back in the language that your avatar is using. So your keywords and things that guests are looking for is going to be in there. I'm a massive advocate of using ChatGPT to ask it to be a persona itself.
Awesome, thank you. Okay, there's another one here at the bottom. What do you suggest as a niche for the property manager that manages multiple homes or a property management company with many rentals?
That's really interesting one. I've had this question before, and it's likely you're going to be in a macro niche of some sort. If you're managing multiple homes, maybe you're managing multiple homes in the Outer Banks. I don't know, just chosen that out of the air here. So how are you different? How are you going to be different? And maybe it is something like the accessibility market and the beach wheelchairs. You are the only company that supplies a beach wheelchair for every property. Just imagine that. Or doesn't mean that every property has to be fully accessible, but those that are accessible then provide the beach wheelchair as well. We had a question similar to this in a conference I went to last year, and it was about the Orlando market. How do you stand out in the Orlando market? And there was some really interesting responses. One of them was, everybody out there is reaching out to families. But part of those families are the grandparents that often come, because often the grandparents are supplying the accommodation. It's the grandparents that are buying the holiday for the rest of the family. So why are you targeting the family when you should be targeting the grandparents, and target them, because they probably don't want to spend all their time at Disney. They might want to spend their time in golf courses or going to Cape Canaveral, or the other things that are out there. But everybody's doing one thing. Do something different, and that difference might be just targeting the people who are paying for it and aren't going to the theme parks.
Great, thank you. There's an interesting one here as well that we have. So we have beautiful panoramic views. Would photography be a niche here, or is there some other way that they can take advantage of marketing their views?
Photography would absolutely be a niche, because often, this is a bit like this, what I said, the spray and pray type of marketing. You're just marketing out to, just saying we've got great views. But actually targeting photographers and the people who actually come to take those pictures, and maybe that's too small a niche but I'm not sure it would be. I think there's so many people out there, the photography niche, that would love to hear about your place, and maybe they haven't because you're not targeting them directly. So that's where the Facebook groups and the places where they hang out would be great to go onto, and because you can promote your views. These are great views, and maybe talk about photography if you do photography yourself, and then you could move on after a while to talk about the accommodation as well. So yes, I think photography would be a great niche.
Amazing, thank you. And it looks like the rest of the questions you've covered in your presentation, but there's one last one here that I'd like to share with you. Heather, you are a legend for sure. Thank you for sharing your expertise.
That's lovely. Thank you. I've just got one that I've seen, which was a difficult to market something you don't know much about.
Okay, yes, go for it. Sorry, I've missed that one.
Yeah, and I wanted to address that one because I heard a lovely expression the other day, and it was about, when you're a fifth grader, you are the absolute legend to the fourth grader. So it's just about learning what there is. If you don't know much about it, then learn it, and learn it more than the people you are. So maybe you learn about some forms of birds, and remembering if you're marketing to the that bird watching market that hasn't been out there for very, very long, it wouldn't take you long to get to know more about it than they do. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. What we'll do is, I just want to quickly remind everybody that the webinar is being recorded, so we'll send that out as soon as we can, and it will also be included in the blog recap. So all of these questions will include in the blog, along with your answers, obviously, and we'll also include the links to your website, your business school. So if anyone has any further questions, would they be able to reach out to you for that?
Oh, absolutely. Yes. I'll take any questions. As I say, this is a passion. If anybody's interested in learning more about sort of niche marketing, just get in touch with me.
Okay, thanks again for everything. And thank you to everyone who attended. It's been great to have you all here. We do look forward to seeing you all for the next one. And have a very pleasant morning, afternoon, or evening, depending on where you are in the world. Thanks so much, Heather. And thanks again, everybody.